Brian Johnson getting younger blood, trying to live forever. What we discovered is not young blood is able to reversing aging. Just think about if you have another 20 years of life. You started to accelerate aging from 25 years old. Your body is basically breaking down. Longevity or aging is not a disease. Then what is the clinical endpoint that we're able to be approving any of the therapy? This is going to be the generation that has the power to stop aging. How different systems of your body is currently working. How does your brain work? And also, what is the speed of aging of the brain?
You already managed to save at least one life.
There's supplements, medicines, peptides, stem cells. What's actually working and what's not? Oh, I'm gonna die tomorrow. No, that's not gonna happen because
Hello and welcome to Accelerate Bio. Today we are joined by Alina Ruizu, who is the founder of Generation Lab, which is a startup using epigenetics to slow aging. With a bioengineering background and a Harvard PhD on hold, Alina is rethinking how we measure and rewind time in the human body, but she can tell us more about it herself. So, hi, Alina, welcome here. Glad to have you. How are you doing today?
Great, thanks for having me. Yeah, we're at the very exciting time of humanity right now where Generation Lab started out the name as Generation because we really believe that this is going to be the generation that has the power to stop or even reversing aging. So thanks for having me.
Well, let's dig right into that. And yeah, how are we going to achieve this?
So 20 years ago, let me talk a little bit about this story, how we got founded and who is the co-founders. 20 years ago, people might heard about plasma exchange, which is exchanging young blood with old blood. And that was coming out from Irina Comboy's lab from Stanford. That's called parabiosis. So whenever you're hearing Peter Thiel or Brian Johnson getting their younger blood into their body, trying to live forever or reversing biological age, that is based on 20 years of the work what Irina has been discovering in the lab. But the thing is, what we discovered is not young blood is able to reversing aging. It's actually dilution of the old blood, which means you need to remove all of the cell cytokines and these inflammatory factors that has been accumulated in your body. That itself will be able to rejuvenate yourself again. That is a translation science that we see over the past 20 years. But the real thing is, before we're actually inventing a therapeutic that's able to be reversing aging, we should really have a tool to actually quantify how aging is happening in your body. Because there's many snake oils in the longevity market. There's supplements, medicines, peptides, stem cells, cold plunges, sauna, you name it. There's so many things that people can do for longevity, but what's actually working and what's not? Until before we exist, that was not clear. And we decided to spin out this tool after publishing the paper at the cover of Aging called Failed Test of DNA Methylation Clocks and Development of a Noise Barometer, which is we found out that aging itself is very similar to entropy that's in your body. So think about what 23andMe is testing is DNA, which is the hardware that's never changing. What color of your eyes is, what is the color of your hair, what is the color of your skin. But what we found is more related to aging is how your genes are being expressed, which is very correlated to your lifestyle. How are you sleeping? How much are you traveling? And interestingly, we found out that usually founders are more accelerated than normal people because due to constant stress, constant fundraising, you're not sleeping, you're constantly building. So all of these is causing your aging is more accelerated than normal people. And we also found out that different parts of your body is breaking down into different speed of the aging. Like your brain aging speed is very different than your skin aging, than your heart, than your liver, than your muscle. And according to this profile, looking into your epigenetic, we'll be able to tell you, hey, for Oliver Harmogos, what is the best way for you to reverse your biological age? It might work for you for NMN, but for Oliver, it might be better to do stem cell or vitamin D. So now we are in a precision medicine of not medicine, but actually how to extend your health span after seeing this data to take control, be the CEO of your own health.
I really like what you said at the end, be the CEO of, your own health. That's what we like, as founders. But I'd like to double down on a word that you used describing Generation Lab and what you guys study. So you said you're predicting the aging trajectory based on noise. So what does all that mean? What really is noise? And, what are the factors that aren't noise? Could you, maybe perhaps more explain what do you mean by that?
Yeah, totally. So Generation Lab was co-founded by me, Dr. Irina, and also Michael Suslov. So a lot of work is based on Dr. Irina Compoy's 20 years of the science in Stanford and UC Berkeley. And what we have discovered as the underlying cause of the aging is that aging is similar to entropy, which means in a younger stage, this noise, which means the standard deviation of the expression, is very low. But as we are aging more, this standard deviation become more and more noisier, which means there's more possibility of your body to actually make mistake. It's like the bug in your computer. As your computer is having longer time of use, there's more bugs that's being expressed. That's what we are seeing in human body as well. So we call that as noise in a simpler term. And what we have found is that this noise expression is actually similar into every single different cellular level or different organ level. Like they all follow this first principle rule, is that your body is basically breaking down. But how can you control that breakdown? Or how are you able to be even reversing that breakdown? It is possible because aging itself is a tangible journey. It's not like disease that your body is like really break down. That is very, very hard to reverse. But aging itself, it's not quote unquote symptomatic. It's not a like hardcore disease. So there is a possibility that we're seeing when people are using like even sauna, they will be able to reduce their inflammation aging. When people are doing stem cell, they will be able to reverse their cellular regeneration rates and aging around that. So first of all, it's reversible. And what we are looking at is over 500,000 of the data sets of human population, including all of the different population. We found out that starting from 25 years old into 80 years old, they all follow a certain pattern of you started to accelerate aging from 25 years old. So as long as you're older than 25, you're already accelerating. And then you get into that plateau, which is your aging doesn't change a lot. But after you reach out to the mid 40, you have another acceleration. And then you will plateau again. And after you reach to mid 50, you will have another acceleration and plateau again. So it's not a linear journey. That's why you feel like, first of all, you don't have one gray hair per day. So you cannot use any of the mathematical model to assume that this is how you're aging. And second is that we found out a very crucial 460 CPG sites, which is the gene sites. That's so crucial to your body that these 460 supposed to not be changing at all from 25 to 80 years old. So what we are seeing is what is the methylation expression standard deviation, which is similar to noise, the concept that we are seeing. What is the epigenetic stress, epigenetic noise that has been expressed on these 460 CPG sites? And we plot that onto a customized chip with Illumina together. And that's how we are sequencing every single sample that we are getting to test out the epigenetic noise.
Well, unfortunately, I missed the ship when it comes to 24. But based on what you're saying, I better enjoy the rest of my 30s before the next exponential takeoff in acceleration happens.
Yeah, we're aiming to keeping you on that plateau as long as possible. So yes, you will be like experiencing aging, but it's reversible. So that's why unless you're starting out to know about your body, you couldn't really control it, because if you don't know it, you can't do anything about it.
So now I'm very curious about what you mentioned regarding breaking down the aging by different organ systems. So how do we get from this generalized noise to specific organs? And then also you said we can even get to recommending specific interventions for me that will work for myself but not for other people. So how do we arrive at all of this?
Yeah, so when in the 460 CPG sites, different groups of the CPGs is able to be representing one specific function of your body. For example, the groups that's containing ApoE4, there's 10 other CPGs that's related to your brain and how is that working. So we'll be able to see that if these 10 CPGs is having a similar tendency that the biological noise, which is the standard deviation of the epigenetic expression, is higher, then we can say that, hey, in your systems, your brain is accelerating a faster biological noise, which is a faster aging pace compared to any other organs in your body. So we are using grouping of the function to represent how different systems of your body is currently working. And this is the report that we have. And as you can see, what we are giving out is a very detailed version of like how different specific organ is changing in your body, instead of just giving you a number saying that you are biologically 30. Like that doesn't mean anything. Like we should really take down into how does your brain work, and also what is the speed of aging of the brain. And according to that, as you're saying, people doesn't want to know if they're old or not. What they really want is how can you solve the questions? Like what is the solution for that? So that's why we'll be giving you that, hey, if you're choosing nutrition or supplement, you should choose quercetin instead of NMN, because what's causing you aging is these like top aging factors. And according to these, we'll be able to map what is the best way for you to slowing down the aging process according to the pathways, according to the mechanisms, and according to what we have known currently, according to PubMed and also clinical trials. So we source all of the data with our backend engine and give you a score that this is the best matching interventions according to your aging profile.
I'm wondering, but you're showing all these numbers, and my brain might be aging at 1.2x, and I don't know, my lungs might be aging at 0.8. I would be kind of nervous and anxious about my brain being faster than the rest of your body. So what is your opinion, on this? Should we, take these results personally if someone does this biological tests that are now pretty common that Brian Johnson promotes, and he gets an age that's double his age? Then he becomes anxious that he's gonna die tomorrow. What's your opinion?
There's two things that I really want to point it out. First is aging is tangible. Like you can be 30 years old today, you can be 1.6x, but after sleeping having a good sleep and resting well, you might be able to reverse to a 0.1, like as a normal pace. So it's really the trend that you're trying to see instead of the number of what is your biological age itself. And after you are seeing the trend, for example, for us, we really try to lean down into what is your top aging factor right here. Because this is kind of like when you're doing the homework, we'll tell you that, hey, these are the most likely what you're going to get wrong before the symptom is showing. So if you're choosing any of these supplement, medicine, longevity therapies, or even lifestyle changes, you should hone into these top 5 aging factors, instead of just panicking about, oh, I'm going to die tomorrow. No, that's not going to happen because aging is reversible. And what we are trying to tell you is what can you do as a next step with confidence that, okay, I know about my body and this is what it's happening. And I'm able to be having the power to control and even reversing it. So that's the two things that I really want to point out. You should not be getting panic. You should be having confidence with this data, because we know what exactly can you do next time to actually reversing it. And we are seeing aging reversal happening like in a month to any 3 months due to different things that you're doing by like anywhere between 3 to 10 years. So it is a very tangible journey that you should feel like you are being empowered to do that change. And we encourage people to change. Like, it's not we're trying to scare people away from like, you're dying. No, that's not the case. What we are trying to do is we're trying to leading people that saying, hey, you need to take a change. And now is the best time to take action. See, you're entering into that acceleration curve very soon. Let's take it right now so you can actually start aging.
Anxiety can be a very powerful driving force sometimes to take action as well. But jokes aside, I do like how actionable it is. And it makes me wonder, so you did mention there are some things that we already know that are well established we can do to kind of move the needle on our pace of aging.
Mm-hmm.
But like in the world of all the possible things that we need to know about the human body to like really be able to control the pace of aging, like how far are we right now in terms of what we know, and what can we do to kind of accelerate and unlock all of these other new interventions that we don't know yet?
Yeah. So right now there's at least 5,000 things like in our database that you can do to slow down aging, but not everything is going to be working for you. So what you should really look at is what is the mechanism of action is. For example, if what's causing you aging is reproductive system and inflammatory regulation, then vitamin D or vitamin C isn't going to help, because reproductive system is nothing related to what you're doing like over for vitamin D or vitamin C. So you should really consider like quercetin. So it really hones to the first principle of solving problem. Like what is the top aging factors that's driving your aging, and what is the best way of like mechanism of action and pathways that's able to be solving that specific aging parts of your body. It's like you're driving a car and you're hearing a weird noise. It doesn't mean that car is breaking down. It means that car is having some problem before it's breaking down. You can still drive it around. And this means, like, as an example, we do have like more than 300 million data points of aging right now. So we have a lot of case studies that people are telling us that, hey, you guys are the first one who picked up that I was smoking before. Even my doctor didn't show anything with the results of my lungs are having any problem. But apparently what you guys are able to be picking up is that one of my top aging factor is my lung, which means it makes sense because I was smoking a lot and I quit it 10 years ago, but it's still impacting how I'm aging. Similar to that for people who is having seizure and still taking seizure medicine, we're picking up their biological aging speed and aging pace for their brain, and neurodegeneration is faster compared to normal people. So she's like, oh my God, like, I don't know how you guys do this double-blinded study without asking me anything, but apparently what you're seeing is very aligning with my lifestyle and what I'm experiencing off my body. Similar to that, there is a clinic owner and also a nurse. So she did a test and she found out one of her top aging factor is her heart. So she decided to do a CT scan after this test to move it as a next step. And she didn't feel anything. Like, it was not symptomatic. It was nothing that she can feel. But she's like, I'm going to just check it out. And she indeed, in the CT, found a calcium aggregation that's blocking the cardiovascular system from, like, the blood flow was having some problem with calcium aggregation. And she was like, oh my God, if you guys didn't pointed me into the direction of, hey, your heart is aging faster than it's supposed to be, I would never go check it. And that might turn into disease. So now we are talking about healthcare instead of sick care. Like, before it's becoming into sickness, how can you able to be detecting early and actually able to be controlling and reversing it?
That's great. I love that you actually tapped into, real life stories, and that's something that's already, been happening, and you already managed to save at least one life, and I'm sure that there's many more, that you might not know, that actually found out your test helpful. There's one thing I'm wondering, because obviously there's no one fits all solution, but lots of humans are similar. But then you have a lot of outliers, you have ultra marathon runners. I'm looking at you. You have biohackers. You have people from different ethnicities living on different continents. So how exactly is this tech, applicable to these outliers? Is it a one fits all solution? You mentioned you have lots of data points, but what are the results and how they are actually, correlated with what person takes the test?
Yeah, so what we're seeing is, as long as you're over 25 years old, you should really start to do this test. It's kind of like a lot of people wearing Oura Ring or Whoop. It's a way to actually understand your body better. It's not a test to test if you have disease or not. Yeah, I have Whoop as well. There you go. So it's a way how to track your body and understanding your body to maximize your performance. So surprisingly, we're seeing our data of user base is anywhere between 25 to 80 years old. Like, there's a huge range of the data point that users are initiating by themselves instead of their doctors are telling them to do so. So we have a very huge overlap of the user group who is founders, who is investors, who is like either CEO or executive, or who is a Oura Ring or Whoop users who is already consciously investing in their own health to maximize the performance. And with that being said, we have tested like different things. Ethnicity, is that a like confounding factor? We found out that it's not actually playing a part compared to male versus female. Like, when we come to aging as a human, we are all aging similarly. But as male versus female, there's quite a different way how we are aging in our reproductive system. So that's what's causing us. For example, we found out that women between 40 to 55 years old usually accelerate faster because of menopause, and it's whole body acceleration instead of just purely reproductive system reproduction. And for men, usually starting from 30 to 40, that's where their heart is accelerating very fast. And that's also for women, the reproductive system is accelerating very fast. So we see a more dynamic in different sex instead of different population of the study.
I'm wondering now about how does this compare to all the other aging clocks that are out there? It seems like there's quite a few, at least like since Brian Johnson started to popularize
Yeah.
the term. There's a few, some people are skeptical about a lot of them. So like, how different are all of these actually?
Yeah, so if you still remember the paper that I mentioned that we published on the cover of Aging with Dr. Irina Comboy, that paper is named as failed test of DNA methylation clocks, which means we know that plasma exchange as a FDA approved therapy is actually changing a lot of physiology in proteomic and RNA-seq, many things in your body. So we assume that the biological aging clocks should be able to tell us who is sick and who is normal. Like people with Alzheimer's disease should have a different input, like output, as people who is healthy. But if you see that paper, they cannot tell anything about biology, which means people who have Alzheimer's is having exactly same output of biological age as people who are healthy. And we started to recognize that the model what the biological aging clocks are using is purely mathematical model that they're assuming that you're having one gray hair per day. So it's a linear regression of the elastic net model. They will be dropping anything that's not fitting on that line to make sure that this model is able to be supposed to be run. So it's a very great predictor of your chronological age. But if you want to know your chronological age, just look at your driver license. Why do we have to pay $500 to even do a test to let people to tell your chronological age? The reason why we are trying to tell your biological age and how your body is performing is because this number should be representing how your health is behaving instead of just telling what's on your driver license already. So that's when we recognize that a lot of these models that trained by academia is not directly translatable into longevity science or clinical practices. And that's why when we're entering to the market, now after 10 months, we're in about 125 different clinics all around the country and also all around the world. Some of them are serving like top longevity doctors, like the doctor of Kim, the doctor of like many very A-list celebrities and also NBA players, NFL players, and very well-known like artists like Zac Efron. Their doctors are exclusively using our test because they're seeing a very high accuracy, like 99% of the accuracy that's able to be differentiating who is having disease versus who is not, which is really correlated to like biological process of aging.
Speaking of accuracy, I have one quick question. It's about a week ago since Whoop announced actually they're gonna predict your biological age and their speed of aging through
Yes.
a wearable. Is it bullshit? Is it marketing? What do you think about it?
Yeah, well, I will stay away from the like answer for a little bit, but I will encourage you guys to think about this. First of all, your body is breaking down in different parts. Like your brain is aging in different speed of your aging compared to your muscle, then your liver, then your heart. Like each different parts of your body is representing different things. And what does that mean when I tell you that your biological age is overall a 30 years old? Like, what are you going to do next? Like, what's the actionable item right now? And what can I do to actually increasing it? And what I'm envisioning is that because Whoop is tracking a lot of heart rate variability, like HRV and your body temperature and different things that's related to your body. So there might be something that they are able to be honing into that's more related to your cardiovascular system and heart age, but not specifically that will be representing your whole body's biological age. So there is something, okay, that's great that they're building this awareness of the biological age, but don't lead people to misunderstand that they're perfectly fine because like some tests will always tell you you're 25 years old. I won't say like which test it is, but they'll always tell you your biological age is 25 years old. It doesn't matter how good you are or how bad you are. And that's kind of pushing people away from actually taking action into like what they're supposed to be doing about their health.
Aura has had this feature for a while as well, by the way.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it really changes depending on how I sleep. So sometimes I wake up 6 years younger than my chronological age, sometimes 4 years younger, sometimes less. So it feels a bit gimmicky.
Yeah, like if you're for fun, definitely like use Aura or Whoop to just see it for fun. But if you actually want to take action on that and you're like actually want to take care of your health, do blood work because blood work is always the golden marker of like not only biological aging tests, but all of the lab tests, all of the clinical based science is using blood as the golden biomarker that is having the best accuracy. So if you want the best accuracy, like accurately testing out your biological age, just use system age. Like that is the golden marker that's all of the clinicians are using anyways. And you can get it directly online. You can do the test at home, collecting the blood and ship it out. It's super easy.
So just to jump from measurement to action, you said there is, I think, over 3,000 things that we already know we can do to slow down or rewind the biological clock. And that's a good start. Obviously, we're still not there yet where we can do a complete rewind and just freeze or reverse aging completely. So how do we move into a world where we can do more radical aging reversal?
So what we are doing at the back end of Generation Lab is we believe this is the generation that can stop or reverse aging. So when we are collecting all of the data with these tests, what we're actually doing on the back end is we're developing therapeutics. So now one of the therapeutics that we're developing is replacement of the young blood, which is you don't need to have a donor of a young plasma or a blood boy like what these celebrities are doing. We are actually turning that into an injection that you can actually having a similar effect, but without the young donor or young blood. So that is something that we are moving towards into, and we'll be announcing it like around July or August. But that is something that we're very looking forward to actually having a solution that can slow down the entire body, like chronic aging process.
All the blood boys will be out of their jobs.
Yeah, free the blood boys.
Free them from the basement where they're locked up.
Yeah.
So this is very interesting. Are you saying this will slow down the clock, or are you saying this has the potential to completely rewind the clock and make me, I don't know, 30 when I'm 50 and keep me at that age forever?
What we are seeing is that because we have so many data points right now from all over the world and used by 125 different clinics, we're seeing people are able to revise the clock, which is you're not just stopping it, you're actually able to be turning back. Like for example, after stem cell injection, we are seeing 13.6 of the reversal for the immune system's age, and about 4.6 years old of the reproductive health, and 7.3 years of the brain health, like brain and cognition, neurodegeneration is reversing back to a younger stage as well. Similar to that, plasma exchange is mainly targeting inflammatory factors as well. Sauna is able to be addressing inflammation system as well. So we are seeing the clock is actually able to be turning back. So after 10 years, what we are envisioning is that everyone who is walking on the street in 2035 is going to look like in their early 30s. Like there's no people who is going to be aged like what they are doing right now. As we are having more discoveries in aging, that now we are really having the power to not only slow down, but reversing aging, we will be able to see that a lot of people is able to be using this kind of therapy or medicine to slow down aging. It's kind of like GLP-1, like the semaglutide, Ozempic, or Wegovy. This is actually the first breakthrough medicine that you're seeing. It's not designed for these people who have disease or patients. It's actually everyone will be getting it from as an off-label for different purpose of the use. It's either reduce the immune, like inflammation systems, or they want to become weight loss. It's not only for type 2 diabetes patients. And we will be seeing more and more medicine that's similar into this track, that the medicine that will be first, like even surpassing GLP-1, is going to be the medicine that's serving every single human being who is on this earth, instead of just addressing a diseased population.
So you said something interesting that in about a few years, I don't know if it was 10 years, people are going to be, 45, 55, and they're all gonna be looking like 35 years old, and all their, organs are gonna be, aging at a negative or a zero pace. If you would have to look like 10 years into the future, what's it really gonna mean for the humanity and for the lifespans? Everyone's just gonna be immortal, looking 35 until like forever. How do you see, people using this in the future, and what is the ultimate goal, basically?
Yeah, so the ultimate goal is always expanding the health span, which means right now people are usually their health span is about 50 years old. Like starting from 50 years old, you're starting to be getting type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, cholesterol level. You're starting to be like exceeding from your health span. And what we're aiming to have is at least to having this health span expansion to 100 years old, and then living able to up to 120 years old from this 10 years or this 15 years. But this is our goal, and we see the possibility of doing this. Like on mice, we're already able to be doing that. And when we're translating into the human, as long as the mechanism is very clear, we believe that we do have the ability to expand the health span, live a better, younger, and healthier life.
Will we need just Generation Lab to do that, or will we need like hundreds of different companies focusing on different interventions in different organ systems to really achieve true immortality?
Yeah, of course, all tides rise all boats. It's going to be the joint force between not only the company, like as an industry, but also for example, a month ago, we were in Washington, D.C., being Speaker of the House, actually addressing this thing, claiming that, hey, FDA right now is only approving disease-related medicine. But longevity or aging is not a disease. Then what is the clinical endpoint that we're able to be approving any of the therapy that's related to longevity? And the final answer is there's two ways to go through this. One is biomarker of aging, which is like epigenetic stress might be the biomarker of the aging. The biological noise measurement or expression might be the way how we're able to be measuring and quantifying the reversal of the aging to go through. And second is that already after that hearing, having the talk by Irina, right now Montana and also Florida and another city is already being the very reactive city that you can actually try out new drugs without being FDA approved and directly accessing these longevity related therapeutics in these specific place in United States. So there is a change actively going on with the joint force of industry, academia, and also FDA regulatory, these regulatory people. So it's a joint force of everyone that's able to be rising the tide and rising all boats. Of course, billionaires are going to be donating more and more into longevity science and also this specific thing, because if you're not on the earth anymore, what's the point of having billions or trillions of the amount of the money? But first, they need to understand the science in order to make that decision to hop into this industry.
Now you make me think about the importance of culture in this whole shift and the culture wars that we have been finding ourselves in. And you said attitudes are changing and legislation also needs to adjust. And there is definitely this huge accelerationist movement going on right now, very pro-tech, very pro-innovation. And that has the potential to, I guess, also rewire our attitudes to things like longevity, aging, immortality research. But I think there's also a very strong, or maybe more than one, there's a bunch of very strong kind of opposed movements to technology in general, but specifically modifying human body, doing gene editing, and also, I think by extension, rapid lifespan extension and stuff like that. How important do you think it is for culture to kind of be in the right place for this to happen? And how much of a risk is there that we are going to go off track because of other forces that have nothing to do with science?
Yeah, I feel think about vaccines 20 years ago is the first thing that people are able to preventing themselves from having disease. This is the trend of how technology is going to be behaving. And as we are discovering more in biology or technology, it is a natural trend that we are going to be living longer and healthier because no one wants to die. No one wants to actually die in a very early stage. So this is a development of the human being naturally that you will be having a better and longer and healthier life. And that is a good thing. But another thing other than culture that I really want to address is that the main shift that I will envisioning that's happening related to longevity is the mentality shift. Because before, you will be doing the things that's what's constraining you every day, in a very short term of the expectation. But just think about if you have another 20 years of life, are you still going to working in the same job for your entire life? Are you still going to be doing whatever that you're doing, that throwing bottles wherever you want? doing like using plastic instead of using a disposable material. Like, dude, you're gonna be here for like extra 40 years or 20 years. You are gonna be the victim of whatever that you're doing right now to the earth. So now what I'm envisioning is people are going to shift their mentality into short-term gain into long-term gain. And which means there's going to be more shift into their decision-making process. What is their mentality and what's more important for them? People might not be working for Google anymore. They'll be trying to create their own thing because they found out that I have so many free time and I have so many leisures of the time that I can actually release myself, my creativity into creating something really meaningful with my life. So there might be a lot of shift in mentality from short term into long term. And that will be changing a lot of way how we are seeing this world and how this society is working too.
I have a controversial take, People are going to be extending their lifespan, and given the history, with vaccines and medicine, for example, companies such as Big Pharma, right? They always kind of prioritize profit over the patient outcomes. How do you and see this, dynamics working in the future? Because people are going to become much more healthy. Do you actually see Big Pharma trying to enter this space and trying to capitalize on it?
Yeah, especially people who has been seeing and profited from GLP-1 medicine, like Eli Lilly, Novo Nordisk, Novartis. They're the top three who is entering into the longevity science now because they're seeing that, oh my God, because of this GLP-1 medicine, which is a breakthrough that we're seeing, it's not only the patients who are using it, it's whoever wants to get weight loss, whoever wants to control their own body is starting to be getting off label because of this drug. And see, Hims and Hers is able to be prescribing this directly to all of the population. Like you can get this through Hims or Hers directly for any of the use. They don't care. And this is the breakthrough moment to realize that the total available market is not only for the patient population, it's actually for every single human that's on earth. Then what they're moving into is rather than just doing muscle regeneration, can we do like brain rejuvenation as well, liver rejuvenation as well, whole body rejuvenation? So your body is not trying to cure sickness, but trying to maintain as long as health as possible. So moving into the direction of preventive care, especially regenerative medicine, I think is the trend that we're seeing more and more pharma is actually entering into this space. And for Novartis, they actually started a new department called regenerative medicine. And this type of department that's specifically looking into genomic health, epigenomic health, and able to be controlling how fast you're aging. And that's a new department that they set up.
What I'm hearing is this shift from treating sickness to proactive human enhancement. And that's really like music to my ears, and I think music to everybody's ears at BioHackaDAO.
Yeah. And a very fun thing that we recognize is that a lot of insurance company is starting to be reaching out to us because if they can actually see some signals before the disease is happening, they can actually invest less to actually make that into a controllable way instead of spending a lot of money to make you getting into surgery, get you medicine and have rehab. That's actually a very big investment for an insurance company as well. So whenever that they are seeing a shift that we can actually spend less money to make you healthier for longer, that's aligning with their strategy. So we are seeing corporate benefits that's interested into what we are doing as like preventive tests. Insurance company is interested in what we are doing. Even like companies like L'Oreal or P&G, who is entering into the space, who was taking care of skin, but now they see this as a aging that they can control. They're interested into the space as well. So we're seeing more and more players entering into the game, which is always a good thing.
I mean, it ultimately can bring the cost down for a lot of stakeholders, such as insurance companies. I'm just wondering your stance when it comes to the insurance companies. Are you trying to work with them on the basis of benefits, sort of, providing tests for their people, or are you also sort of licensing data, that you could help them actually optimize the operations?
That's a very good question. It's still early days, so both parties is trying to figuring out, but definitely providing the test for whoever is covered by the insurance is the first step that's stepping into the world, into the preventive health. For example, in the case of Jamie, who is having a heart, like aging speed is more higher than usual. For her cases, that might able to be turning into a heart-related disease without she is even knowing. But we catch that early, so she is able to be reversing that by just like seeing it in a CT scan. which is a huge investment for like these kind of insurance company. Like whoever is their insurer will be able to willing to invest into this to actually save a lot of money and cost before they're turning into something severe. So they need to pay more.
This could actually, ultimately down the road also bring the costs down of an individual since he
Yes.
invests, in his health and takes care of it, then he's able to pay less for healthcare insurance. And I think that vision is great, at least for some demographics.
Yep, totally. So that's a exciting moment that we are seeing.
I want to ask you the obligatory AI question, namely how much is AI progress going to accelerate all of this, and how important is it that we accelerate AI as well to really make this whole age reversal thing happen faster and better?
Yeah. So think of, there was a couple of the longevity therapeutics company like Calico from Google and multiple companies that's trying to be like modeling how aging is happening using computer simulation. But the thing that they really missed is, I call this as 3M. You have to start from measuring. Like you need to know what exactly is happening. Like what's the root cause of aging and what is the first principle of aging is happening. And we discovered that like literally 3 years ago. And second is modeling, which is after you are knowing what exactly is happening, measuring what specific thing is changing the body that's related to aging. And then you can start to use AI to simulate the modeling. Like it can be a black box. It doesn't matter. It can just model how biology is behaving using this first principle. And then it moves to third, which is just make it. From measurement modeling and into like just make it, like that, make that longevity therapeutics out. That is the process of how computer and AI is able to be accelerating the scientific discovery and also medical discovery. But the real fundamental thing is we need to know how exactly biology works, because if we don't able to understand that fundamental things, then AI will be modeling the wrong thing, which is the output will be wrong as well. So instead of doing garbage in, garbage out, we really need to solve the first principle of the problem, like what exactly is happening when we mean by aging, because it's even harder than like cancer. Cancer, there's specific targets that you can design for cancer vaccines, but aging is whole body decrease and whole body chaos that's happening in your body, that your cellular is regenerating slower, there's more inflammations happening in your body. It's not only one part of your body is degenerating, it's the entire whole body that's becoming more and more chaos, and there's increasing of the biological noise. So that is the first principle of 3Ms.
That's really interesting, and I love how you tapped into actually cancer, because when you get cancer, it's the cancerous cell that are gonna kill you, right? And it's gonna stick to one of your organs, but your whole body is kind of a controlled chaos, where you never know, what's the next thing that's gonna go wrong. And I think that's an important point to take from this conversation. Anyways, as we're kind of reaching the end of our time, I think we should do one last question. And I actually have a personal one. I was interested since the beginning, since you're directly in the field, you're seeing this report, you're seeing the data. So what is your personal, longevity protocol to keep your body as healthy as possible?
Well, I'm actually trying different things like on myself to see what's working and what's not. So
it was the most exciting one, the most bizarre and controversial.
Well, I've tried many things. So anything that I've mentioned before, I've tried, like including GLP-1, sauna, NAD plus injections, like rapamycin. I've tried a lot of different things, including some supplement drinks of the mixtures. I've tried that too. It's not working. Surprisingly, I thought it's going to work totally. But what I'm going to get into myself is we're actually enrolling ourselves into the clinical trial of the medicine that we are discovering. So I'm using that, like I'm actually enrolling myself, and also Irina Convoy will be in that trial as well. Michael is in that trial as well. So we're very looking into the therapeutics that we have discovered and using ourselves to test it out to see before versus after, to see how much are we able to be reversing the biological age or pace of aging down to each different organ. So that's an exciting thing. But for 80% of the people, I would say still do the basic first. Like, for example, when Mogul said sleeping well is able to be increasing your heart ability. That is actually very important, at least to have 8 hours of the sleep quality with a good deep sleep. That is one fundamental thing that you can do. The second is manage your stress, especially for founders. There's chronic stress. Like I was very surprised when my Aura or Whoop is telling me that like 5 hours of high stress zone. I'm like, really? I don't even feel that by myself, but just take a walk outside. Doing 10 minutes meditation or yoga is actually able to be slowing down your stress level. And that's very helpful for your entire body because that's reducing the chronic inflammation in your body that's led by stress. And third is really pay attention to what you're eating, reducing the amount of the processed food that's in your body because a lot of processed food, there's microplastics. Try to eat organic food as much as possible. And after doing the test, because I myself has been doing 6 times of before and after tests. So now I know what exactly do I need. I need more magnesium, I need more vitamin D, and I really want to find those things into the food source. So instead of just eating supplements, which is still processed, I prefer to eat more like egg yolk, or I prefer to eat more things that's naturally contained in the food that's able to be helping me to get into a more controlled routine. So that will be what I'm doing, and also what I suggest a lot of people to solve the fundamentals and then get into the biohacking thing. But definitely do the measurement because without measurement, you won't even recognize what's working and what's not.
Definitely. Always measure first, then experiment, and then measure again. That's what we are preaching at Biohacker DAO as well. Don't just go on vibes. It is important how you feel, but having numbers as well is even more useful. So that's great. And I do like how you're your own guinea pig and you're self-experimenting with all the interventions that you're recommending others. I think that's great. And sorry, go on.
Share a link to purchase with discount code for all of the Accelerate Bio people. So you guys can click on the link if it's below or on the screen to directly get this out, and we will ship it for you. So get started.
Yeah, we'll put it below, and I'm sure people are going to be excited.
Great.
We'll put it in the show notes. Actually, I want to ask you one more personal question, but more from your founder's journey building Generation Lab. And I'm just super curious, like, what has been the most surprising or like the most challenging thing that you discovered or learned on this whole journey of building Generation Lab so far?
I feel like the most breakthrough thing that I've realized is that your business is going to be the extension of yourself, which means if you're seeing something wrong with your business or the business model is not working or you're not pressing that very important question of the red button, it usually is because of you internally, like you're afraid of pressing that red button of making things wrong, or you're afraid that if you do this, people will see you in a different way. So that is usually what I see as the biggest breakthrough, that whenever you are seeing something that's as a trend in your business, look into yourself, because the question or the answer is both within yourself. So that's one. And second is, it took me a huge courage to drop out from Harvard, because I was in George Church's lab doing PhD over there, and I sold my first company. So this is my second company. And George was very, very supportive when I'm deciding to dropping out. I was like, George, I'm founding this company with Irina for full time. She is coming out full time too. So I'm going to build this company with her for full time. And Harvard has been my dream school starting from 8 years old. It was like my dream school forever. And now I feel like I was chasing my dream for more than 15 years. And now I have to drop from this dream. And what he said is, go do it. Do the things that you will never, do the thing that's always going to be taking you to a more fun route. Do the thing that's going to scare you, because that's how you will be seeing that your journey is becoming funner and funner. And that's how you challenge yourself. Never take the safe routes. Only take the routes that will make you excited and more fun.
Has it actually been funner and funner?
Yeah, it's very fun, and I'm enjoying it every day. So that's why when you're asking what is the hardest thing, I'm like, I don't think it's very hard. I'm having fun every day, a lot of fun.
I mean, that's amazing. You live only once. You might live longer, but
There you go. Even if we're living up to 120 years, there's still limited amount of time that you're on Earth. So what are you going to do with your 30,000 days?
Oh, then chase your dreams. That's the answer.
Yes.
All right, perfect. I think that this has been an incredible conversation, something that we didn't have before on the show, and another amazing perspective for all people interested in, accelerating their longevity journey and their biohacking journey. It's been a pleasure also having you, Alina. Personally, I'm looking forward to checking out the tests, perhaps ordering one myself if I live in the area where you guys ship, but we'll see about that.
I do have to say the podcast is getting funner and funner as well.
That's great. As long as we're having fun with our limited amount of time, let's just have fun. That's the most prioritized thing while creating value for the world. We all just live once.
Let's have fun. Let's accelerate. And if I think we can leave it at that. Thanks for coming on today, Alina. This has been great. Yeah.